I think at this point, get woke, go broke is almost law in the market. Now, I often say it's not absolute in that sometimes wokeness does make money, but I have to wonder if things make money in spite of the wokeness. That is to say, getting woke will make you go broke, but sometimes something else can overcome that and generate money, creating the illusion that in fact something woke made money. You get my point? We have this exciting news, my friends. Disney on track to lose millions on The Little Mermaid. One analyst said it was a massive flop. I'll tell you why. Look, if you're trying to market on nostalgia and you race swap the main character and change major plot elements of the movie, don't be surprised when people don't come to see it. I think, to be honest, the race swapping may have been the strongest component in why people didn't go see it. And I mean that. And it's kind of a bummer. I mean, I don't really care all that much about race as it pertains to certain characters. Like James Bond, for instance, could definitely be played by Idris Elba. And that would be epic because he's fantastic. And he is like a very masculine. He fits the role really well. He's a British guy, you know, masculine, muscles, all that good stuff. He could be James Bond, right? There are a lot of people that didn't want to see it. They were like, no, you can't do it. Well, I guess James Bond introduced like a black female spy character, and people are worried. Okay, James Bond can't be a woman. No, I'm sorry. James is a man's name, right? But there's like this rumor or lore or whatever people talk about that James Bond is a code name given to certain agents or whatever. I got to be completely honest. I really don't care if you got Idris Elba to play James Bond because it's a recurring movie. They make more. There's new James Bonds. We expect the character to change. That I'm fine with. I don't think a woman would fit the role though. Like, you know, it's just too different. Now you got Ariel. Okay. You've got a movie whose intention is to get millennials like me to go see it. Now, I honestly just didn't want to see it. I don't care. I don't really care all that much about race swapping. I do think it's kind of funny that they race swapped the character but kept the red hair. And they're like, well, it's because the character has red hair. And I'm like, the character also had fair skin or whatever. But I do think your average suburban mom or dad or whatever saw this and was just like, I don't care. It's not that they actively said, I refuse to go see that movie. I think they did not feel it, you know? I have to imagine that if I saw Ariel on screen, just like when I watched Little Mermaid as a kid, I might be like, oh, wow, I really want to go see that. I don't feel that for this. But to be fair, it's not me. I mean, I should say, to be fair, it's not the race issue. I didn't really care to see any of the live action remakes. My point is simply, I am under the impression that there are many people who don't relate this to a nostalgic feeling because it's very different. Not only that, though, they changed key plot elements. Apparently, I don't want to spoil the movie, I guess, but they just changed core elements of the story, like the ending and how, and so people are just like, I don't want to see it. Well, here's the news from Timcast.com. Disney is on track to lose millions despite a strong turnout. They spent roughly $390 million on producing and promoting the film. Theaters take approximately half the ticket sales, meaning the film industry must hit nearly $800 million to break even. According to a report from the Stock Dork, The Little Mermaid achieved a successful domestic debut, generating $118.6 million over a 4-day opening period, ranking it among the top 5 highest-grossing films for Memorial Day weekend. However, internationally, the film's earnings were only $68 million. The live-action remakes of Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin both reached $1 billion, a benchmark becoming increasingly less likely for the woke Little Mermaid film to reach. Here's a funny thing. You have Beauty and the Beast, which was, I saw it and I was kind of like, you know, whatever, I don't know. You had Aladdin, I also saw it and I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. They're not as good as the classic animated versions, but I do think, and you know, whatever you want to think about it, I think race swapping had a massive negative impact on this, especially internationally. Look, I think people around the world are fairly racist. I mean, look, China, for instance, they did ad campaigns that didn't show Ariel in China because they know people in China are very, very racist. Surprise, surprise, I guess. The live action remakes of Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, if the film manages to gross only $600 million globally, it will result in a loss of $200 million. And even achieving this level of domestic earnings still needs to be determined, the report explained. Therefore, domestically, the likelihood that it could gross 300 to 350 million seems overly optimistic. Wow, that's crazy. Aladdin did $1 billion. The children's film has been an avalanche of controversy since its announcement due to the race bending of the lead character and edits to make the original songs more politically correct. Disney also invited drag queen Nina West to the movie's LA premiere, which probably played a big role. The 44-year-old drag queen, whose real name is whatever, has become a staple of Disney's children's programming after competing on RuPaul's Drag Race. In a post to Instagram with a video of the red carpet, Levitt wrote, look, I'm just going to stop there. Can I just say, remember that movie Bros, where was, what's that guy's name? Billy Eichmann? Eichner? Is it Eichner? Sorry, I'm not trying to get his name wrong. I just don't know who he is. He's a gay guy, comedian, and he made a movie called Bros, which is about two guys who are hooking up. And the movie bombed. It imploded, and he was begging people to go see it. Dude, I got no beef with you or your movie. It's fine. Make the movie you want to make. I wish you success. The problem is you need to understand your market share. And if your market is gay men, then you're going to only get a tiny percentage of this country to go see that movie. But these people live in cult psychopath world where they're like, everything's gay and everyone's gay. They have flags everywhere. And then you ask the average person and they say, I will never see that movie. But they don't get it because they're in a cult. This is what happens with Little Mermaid. You still do sell tickets because some people will probably just go see it. But a lot of people are just like, don't know, don't care, don't want to see this. More so internationally. That's not what they're into. Maybe they're racist, call them whatever you want. It ain't going to work. So look, you want to make a romantic comedy for gay dudes? You want to make a Little Mermaid with race swapping? Consider the budget. How many people are going to be interested in this and how many people want to go see it? If you assume you have general public mass appeal, you're probably wrong, especially internationally. There was one really funny thing that happened with the Little Mermaid thing where someone used a deep fake technology to put a white woman in the place of Ariel. Like they took the actual footage from Little Mermaid and then rendered it so it was a white woman and it got like millions of views. And people were like, why don't you just make this? And they're like, you're racist, don't do that. And they complained about it. Listen, people want to feel nostalgia. They want to feel that longing for a time that has since passed. When you make something like this, people don't feel it. And it's not because they're racist. It's because it's not the character. It's not the character they remember. It's a different person. So I understand. Look, like I was saying, like, I don't care if James Bond is played by Idris Elba. We change Bond actors all the time. And then we argue who was better, who was worse. But there are a lot of people who don't want to see a black actor play James Bond because James Bond is a specific person with a specific background and all that stuff. I get it. I totally do. I don't feel nostalgia for James Bond. The Little Mermaid is one story. And what people were hoping for was to see that story come to life in a real way. But I'll tell you, they bombed this movie in more ways than just that. Apparently, it was too dark to see anything because they tried to actually make it be like it was underwater. Like, come on, dude. In the original Little Mermaid, everything was very brightly colored and bright and exciting. And they make this one as dull and boring. And people just didn't want to go see it. Sorry, dude. I think what's happening is a lot of this woke stuff about diversity. Look, here's their gamble. They think that white people are reproducing less, more migrants are coming in, this country is very diverse, and we want to maximize market share. That means if you make a movie just for white people, you'll sell 70% of potential tickets. If you go diverse with all different kinds of people, you could get 100%. In reality, all that's happening is they're shaving down their market share. It's a sad reality that people are starting to experience and realize. You can say or do whatever you want, but you know, look, why is it that Chicago is racially segregated by neighborhood? Partly due to redlining and blockbusting, but also a large component, especially these days, is that people choose to live in these areas. It's the reality. We saw it in Sweden. When refugees and migrants come, they say, I want to live next to people who speak the same language as me. They choose to segregate into these communities. We want to actively create spaces where people can come together, and these things aren't the defining factor. That I totally get. I think it's fantastic. I don't think we want to homogenize everything. Different cultures are good. I'm not a fan of racism, but I don't think race is the defining factor in culture for sure. But clearly, the hardship is set before you. Your movie bombed. How can you make something like this happen if people don't want to see it? So I don't know how to tell you, man. I can't tell you exactly why. I think all of these things play a role in why the movie bombed. But I think it's really simple. When people look at this Ariel, it's just not the character they remember. And so they don't feel nostalgia. It's not that they don't like black people or that they're racist. It's that you basically just made a new movie. And are people going to want to go see a Little Mermaid? Like, well, not really. When we were kids and it was a Disney movie and our parents brought us to go see it, whether we liked it or not, we built that memory up. And now you make a movie with different characters and different plot elements. And we just are not really interested. I'll leave it there. Get woke, go broke, my friends. Next segment's coming up in a few minutes. Stick around and I'll see you all shortly.